Hello everyone, I'm Freaky and welcome to the video. OMG, I just love the Looney Tunes. Specifically their shorts from their very first appearance all the way to the 60s. Now to me, these are the best Looney Tunes cartoons. And yes, there has been some reincarnations like the Looney Tunes show and the recent show. I mean, those cartoons are okay in their own right. But my favourite Looney Tunes cartoons will always be the shorts from the very first time that we saw the Looney Tunes, from Porky Pig, Daffy, Bugs Bunny, etc, all the way up to the 60s. Those were the best years of the Looney Tunes. I love Daffy, Tweety and Sylvester, Porky, Lego and Foghorn, Pepe Le Pew, Tasmanian Devil, Roadrunner and Coyote, Yosemite Sam and Elmer Fudd, and you know, all those great cartoon icons. And not just those icons, but also the lesser known Looney Tunes cartoons. There was Ralph Wolf and Sam Sheepdog, those two little mice, the three bears. You guys get. I really do love the Looney Tunes cartoons. And one of my favourite Looney Tunes characters is Bugs Bunny. I mean, yeah, shocker. Everybody loves Bugs Bunny. I get it, I understand that, I know. Again, don't get me wrong, I love the other cartoons. Characters like Daffy, Sylvester, the Roadrunner, etc. But today, I'm here to tell you guys that I'm going to be giving my favourite Bugs Bunny cartoons. And just to let you guys know, if your favourite Bugs Bunny cartoon isn't in this list, I do apologise. I'm just going to tell you guys something now. These Bugs Bunny cartoons are going to be my personal favourites. This isn't going to be the top 50 Bugs Bunny cartoons that universally loved. These Bugs Bunny cartoons are going to be my personal favourites. Like for example, let's just say for example that a Bugs Bunny cartoon that is universally loved by everybody was either right at the bottom of my list or wasn't on the list at all. And only because that episode of Bugs Bunny is either right at the bottom or isn't on this list at all doesn't mean, oh, I don't like it or I thought it was crap or whatever. But in my opinion, this list is going to be my personal favourites. And the Bugs Bunny cartoons that is universally loved, those cartoons may or may not be on this list. And it isn't because I hate them or I didn't like them. It may be because I think maybe they might be overrated or I didn't think was that funny. It could be a number of things, but that doesn't mean I hate them, okay? These are the Bugs Bunny cartoons that I like. And the reason why I love Bugs Bunny is because of a few reasons. Number one, he's a complete troll. Indeed, 99% always gets away with it. For me, Bugs Bunny trolling Daffy or Yosemite Sam or Elmer or whatever is just really, really good. And so, if there's any Bugs Bunny cartoons that you like from the 40s all the way to the 60s, please let me know in the comment section below. I mean, who knows, maybe your favourite Bugs Bunny cartoon might be my favourite Bugs Bunny cartoon. And so with that said, let's resume with the list. Number 20, Bugs Bunny, the Fridged Hare. Okay, this episode isn't necessarily the most funniest episode, but the reason why I love this episode so much is because of how adorable it is. Bugs goes on vacation, and as usual, he gets lost and he knew he should have turned left at Albuquerque, and he finds himself at the South Pole. And there's this little penguin that's being chased by a native hunter, and it's this little penguin that makes this episode one of my favourite episodes. I mean, he's just so cute. Bugs just wants to leave and go on his vacation, but he keeps having run-ins with the penguin and the hunter. But I think my favourite part in this episode is the ending. When Bugs finally gets rid of the hunter, Bugs is angry at the penguin, and this little penguin starts crying, little ice cubes, and Bugs tells him to stop and says, "Oh, right, turn off the waterworks." And Bugs says, "I'm sorry, but what am I going to do with only 4 days of vacation left?" And the penguin tells him that the days are 6 months long at the South Pole, and Bugs get into his head that he doesn't have to go back to work until for the next 2 years. Yeah, I know, that's not how it works, but it's funny nonetheless. But like I said, it is very adorable. And so with that said, let's move on to the next one. And number 19 is The Wabit Who Came to Supper. Now, when it comes to this episode, this was actually my very first Bugs Bunny cartoon when I was little. This cartoon of Bugs Bunny left an impact on me, and I saw it in black and white. And the premise is, Elmer Fudd gets to inherit $3 million from his uncle, as long as he doesn't hurt any rabbits. And Bugs can't help himself but mess with Elmer, and Elmer has to be nice to Bugs, otherwise he wouldn't inherit the $3 million. And this version of Elmer is the Fat Elmer, I don't know what it is, but I've always liked Fat Elmer better. I mean, not to say there's anything wrong with the skinny version of Elmer, but I just think Fat Elmer is a little bit more funnier. It's not the most memorable Bugs Bunny cartoon, but it was my introduction to Bugs Bunny. And the funny part where Elmer gets his inheritance is just funny. Is this one of those Bugs Bunny cartoons that you should absolutely 100% see and should be put at the top for you guys to go and check out? Well, no. Like I said, it's the first Bugs Bunny cartoon I've ever seen, and this Bugs Bunny cartoon left an impression on me, but it's definitely worth a watch. And so, on to the next one. Number 18. Southern Fried Rabbit. In this episode, Bugs is trying to get to the south, or Alabama, to get his hands on some carrots, and he runs into Yosemite Sam, who is a Confederate soldier, and he's trying to stop Bugs from crossing the border. Yeah, Sam thinks the states are still at war with each other, and there's a joke in here that wouldn't pass today, but saying that, it's really, really funny. Let's just say that Bugs Bunny does blackface. I just love it, and I just love how Bugs outsmarts Yosemite Sam. I've got nothing else to say, but it's just really, really fun to watch. And so that said, let's move on to the next one. And the next one is Knight-mare Hare. Bugs finds himself in medieval times, and he comes across a knight, a dragon, and Merlin. And this cartoon has possibly one of the most intimidating dragons I've ever seen. I mean, the way he looks is just, a little bit scary. And believe it or not, this was actually the episode that inspired Bugs Bunny's game, Bugs Bunny Lost in Time. And you know what? That game was so goddamn relaxing to play. The funny part is how Bugs gets rid of the knight, the dragon, and Merlin. And my favourite part is at the end, where Bugs makes a funny face. I used to watch this over and over again when I went to the video store with my mom when I was a little kid. And this episode left an impact on me, especially the dragon. And so that said, let's move on to the next one. And number 15 is Bowery Bugs. In this episode, Bugs tells the story of a man named Steve, which was down on his luck, so he decides to get a rabbit's foot, which is Bugs' foot, and Bugs convinces Steve to go to a fortune teller or something, and it's obviously Bugs in disguise. And he tells Steve to go to all these other places, like find a man with a flower, or go and find love, or go to this place. And it all ends in bad luck with Steve. And my favourite part of this episode is when Steve goes back to all these places and meet up with the people that he was with. And obviously all these people were Bugs, and they go, "What's up, Doc? What's up, Doc? What's up, Doc?" And he gets Steve to believe that everybody's turned into rabbits, even himself. And he jumps off of the Brooklyn Bridge. And the reason why I love this episode so much is because, well, it's basically Bugs trolling him. Bugs is just messing around with Steve, especially when it dawns on him saying that, "Oh, it can't be," and he realises that everyone's turned into rabbits. Well, not really they've turned into rabbits, but like I said, it was just Bugs messing with him. And that part is just really, really funny to me, where Steve just goes nuts. That was just funny to me. And so, let's move on to the next one. And number 14 is The Fair-Haired Heir. In this episode, Bugs and Sam has to share a house because Sam built his house onto Bugs' land. I mean, I don't understand why should Bugs share his land with Sam if the land was already Bugs? Anyways, let's carry on. Now, in this episode, it's obvious that Sam doesn't want to share the house with Bugs, so Sam tries his best to get rid of Bugs. And my favourite parts in this episode is when Sam and Bugs is getting ready for bed, and when they turn off the lights, Sam creeps over to Bugs and tries to hit him over the head with a hammer. But in the end, Bugs takes the hammer and hits Sam with it. And the next one is when Sam puts something in an orange drink and he puts two glasses on the table and Bugs starts spinning the table. And not gonna lie, that was pretty funny. Like, we know what's coming. We know who's gonna get the short end of the stick on this one. And the other thing I like in this episode is when Bugs thinks he's been eaten by a bear, which it's a stuffed bear, and Sam actually saves Bugs. It's almost awesome in a way. And so that said, let's move on to the next one. And the next one is Airway to the Stars. This is the episode where Bugs gets sent into space and he meets up with Marvin the Martian. And Marvin the Martian is trying to blow up Earth with a stick of TNT, which I thought was funny. And Bugs runs away and Marvin the Martian throws these Martian bird thingies. And these bird things go after Bugs, and one of them starts chasing him on a scooter thingy, and Bugs has to outsmart them and get away from him and try to get back to Earth. But my favourite part is definitely the chase with these Martian thingies. the part where Bugs is being chased by one of those things on a scooter, and the part where there's a group of them chasing him down until he outsmarts them. I used to watch this episode on the movie The Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner show. No, not show, it was a movie. Yeah, I know there's other versions of Marvin the Martian that are much more funnier than this one, but this episode was my childhood. I just wish Marvin's dog was in this episode. But saying that, it is a good episode, I like it. And so that said, let's move on to the next one. And the next one is Rabbit Fire. Now, when it comes to this episode is part of a trilogy where Daffy and Bugs do their famous skit trying to get Elmer to shoot the other. There's 3 of these, but Rabbit Fire is my favourite episode of the 3. Because in this episode, this is the episode where Bugs and Daffy unite at the end of the episode and they go to hunt Elmer. My favourite part is the ending and the part where they say, it's rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season, duck season, wabbit season, wabbit season, duck season, wabbit season. This episode is really funny. Now, some will say that, oh, the other episodes are funny, or funnier than this episode. But this is the episode where Daffy and Bugs starts hunting Elmer. Instead of going at each other, Bugs and Daffy unites. And if you ask me, I think this should have been the last episode of the trilogy. Yeah, Bugs is always outsmarting Daffy, and Daffy always gets the short end of the stick, which is funny. And sometimes Elmer would lose his patience sometimes. But like I said, this is my favourite episode of the trilogy. And so that said, let's move on to the next one. And the next episode is Blooper Bunny. I really love this episode. Okay, you know, like in movies and shows and stuff like that, you know when they're acting and then they slip up or something else happens that wasn't in the script? You know, bloopers. Well, in this episode, it's Bugs' 51st and a half birthday. So they want to make an episode about it, and while they're trying to make a video of it, somebody's either messing up or something else happens that ruins the shot, or something else happens entirely that wasn't in the script. I just love this idea that they have to redo some scenes because there was an accident or there was something else happening. And you know what? I am a sucker for bloopers. It's either from a movie or a TV show or even on the news. I just love news bloopers. For me, bloopers are just funny. And yeah, I know this isn't real, it's just a cartoon, but if the cartoons was real, like in Chip and Dale or something like Roger Rabbit, and there were toons actually filming themselves while trying to make a movie or an episode or something like that, this is the sort of thing I would expect if Toons was to muck up. Hell, there's a video on YouTube where somebody actually put bleeps in the video that makes them seem like they're swearing. And I'm telling you, it was funny. It's like the R-rated version of this episode. It's just that funny. And so that said, let's move on to the next one. And the next one is going to be a toy. And the toy is Air Raising Hare and Water Every Air. Now, the reason why I love these 2 episodes is because it has a character called Gossamer, which is a big massive airy monster, and he's trying to chase down Bugs either to eat him or bring him back to the evil scientist. I love these episodes all the way through. They kind of sort of remind me of the Chuck Jones cartoons, Who Killed Who. Well, I'm not saying that they're like that, but they both have this feel to them that makes it feel like Who Killed Who. Anyways, Bugs has to get away from Gossamer, and there's all sorts of gags in these 2 episodes. And to be honest, I absolutely love all of them. But if you have to twist my arm, which gag I like the most from both episodes? Well, from Hare Raising Hare, it would be the ending, where Bugs says, "Look, out there in the audience!" And Gossamer says, "People!" and just runs away. I mean, it was just funny. And I also love this other gag where he says, "Is there a doctor in the house? Is there a doctor in the house?" And somebody in the audience says, "I'm a doctor." And he goes, "Yeah, what's up, doc?" And there was this other gag that says, "Don't go up there, it's dark." If I had to say, I think Air Raising Air is my favourite one. But saying that, both of these cartoons are basically the same, which is why they're both together. And when it comes to Water Every Air, I think my favourite part is when Bugs is invisible and he's just messing around with Gossamer. So yeah, even though I love Hare Raising Hare more, they both deserve to be on this list, and I highly recommend them. And so with that said, let's move on to the next one. And the next one is Case of the Missing Hare. Again, this is one of those episodes where Bugs trolls somebody. And also, this was also one of my first Bugs Bunny cartoons. Sometimes the scenes in this episode can be a tiny little bit tense at times, where this magician guy is putting big knives into this basket, and Bugs is in the basket saying, "Oh, ouch, oh, ow." and the magician is worried saying, oh no, I think I might have got him. That part was funny. But my favourite moment was when Bugs tries to get back into the hat, but the magician nailed the hat shut, and Bugs hits it, and then the magician gets a sword, and he starts walking towards Bugs, and Bugs starts playing red light. He goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, red light, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, red light, and so on and so on. And the magician stops every time Bugs says red light. And for me, that was just intense and funny at the same time. And again, I just love how Bugs just trolls him. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And so with that said, let's move on to the next one. And the next one is Fresh Air. Again, this is Bugs Bunny trolling Elmer. I just love these trolling episodes of Bugs Bunny. Anyways, Bugs is trying to get away from Elmer because Bugs Bunny has done a lot of criminal activity. Okay, it's nothing major, but he has done a lot of small crimes. And I mean a lot of small crimes. It's gone to a point that he's on death row for it. And so, Elmer's gonna try and capture him, and Bugs is messing with him while he's running away from him. And my favourite two parts in this episode is when Bugs pretends to be Elmer's gun, and Elmer starts using Bugs as the gun. And Bug goes, bang, 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 and goes, and then Elmer goes, huh, must be our bullets. And then Bugs kisses him. I mean, come on, that's just funny. I love that part. And my other favourite part is the ending. When Bugs was about to be executed by firing squad, Elmer says, before you die, you can make one last wish. And Bugs goes, well, let's see now, I wish, and he goes, I wish I was in Dixie, hooray, hooray. And everybody ends up in Dixie, singing and dancing in a minstrel show, singing Camptown Races. I just absolutely love that part. Yeah, not many people would be happy to see that nowadays, but you know what, I don't care, I love it, it's funny. In fact, if you guys was to go onto YouTube and type in Camptown Races, you'll be able to see people performing that in a film. Hey, I like the song. Like I said, I don't care what anybody says, I really do love this episode, and I highly recommend it. And with that said, let's move on to the next one. And the next episode is Hare Meets Hare. Again, Bugs Bunny is doing his trolling stick in this episode, but he's not just doing it to anybody, he's also doing it to a Nazi. And listen, I don't care what anybody says, I really do love this episode. Some people might say, oh, it's insensitive to show Nazis in this episode, or in any media for that matter. But listen, Bugs Bunny is actually making fun of the Nazis. And you know what? That is awesome. Now, my favourite parts in this episode is when Bugs dresses up like Hitler, and he starts yelling at the German guy in his Nazi attire. That part is just absolutely memorable to me, and the best part. And the other good part is at the end, where the German guy takes Bugs back to Hitler, and when Hitler looked in the bag, both the German guy and Hitler ran for it, and Bugs came out of the sack dressed up as Stalin. I mean, come on, that was just funny. It was really, really funny. And so that said, let's move on to the next one. And the next episode is A Feather in His Hair. Now in this episode, a Native American is trying to hunt Bugs and eat him. And like many Bugs Bunny cartoons, he trolls the hell out of him. And this is one of those Bugs Bunny cartoons that I used to watch all the time when I was a kid. I would go to the video rental store with my mom, and I would always get the same video with the Looney Tunes cartoons, and this episode was among them. Now, some people will say that, oh, it's racially insensitive to portray a Native American like this, but you know what? Screw you guys, I like this episode. And the two parts in this episode that got me laughing was when the Native American guy was offering to give Bugs an haircut or scalp him, but Bugs outsmarts him and says, you know what, I'll cut your hair instead. Okay, that's not exactly what he said, but anyways, Bugs finds a hammer and knocks him out, puts him outside, and gives him loads of cigars. And yeah, I got the reference. A Native American giving out cigars. Yeah, I get the reference. But my absolute favourite part in this episode is when the Native American has his bow and arrow and Bugs is right on his back and he goes, here I am! No, I'm over here! And then Bugs gets an arrow and he bends it into a round shape and Bugs says, no, over here in the bushes. And the Native American guy picks that arrow, he fires it, and it goes all the way around, hitting him in the ass. Yeah, I mean, seriously, that joke gets me every single time. It's just that funny. I love it. And so that said, let's move on to next one. And the next one is Wabit Trouble. Now, in this episode, Elmer is on vacation and Bugs is just messing with him. And that's basically it in this episode. But there are two things in this episode that is worth mentioning. And number one is my favorite part is when Elmer is sleeping in his hammock and Bugs puts some glasses on him and he darkens the glasses so it seems like it's night. And Bugs wakes Elmer up with the alarm clock, and Elmer thinks it's the middle of the night. Elmer puts his torch on, makes his way back to the tent. He gets himself ready for bed, goes to sleep, and then Bugs takes the glasses off of Elmer, and Bugs wakes up Elmer Fudd. And Elmer goes, "Wow, morning already. Doesn't time fly?" And Elmer gets himself ready, washing his face and all that stuff. And one thing leads to another. Elmer tries to find his towel, and Bugs is leading Elmer to the canyon. I mean, that whole sequence was just really, really funny to me. Bugs makes Elmer Fudd go through all that, making him think it's nighttime, and a few seconds later, he makes him think it's morning. I just love the process when it came to this part of the episode. And when it comes to the second thing, it is Big Chungus. Yep, I have to mention him, or the internet is going to have my balls on a platter if I don't do it. But even if I didn't mention him, I don't care. But saying that, I do love this part where Big Chungus is like, "That'll hold him alright." Phooey. That part always gave me a little bit of a giggle. And so that said, let's move on to the next one. And the next one is Hillbilly Air. Now, when it comes to this one, most of the good stuff is in the third act, so I'll get to that in a second. Basically, this episode is about two hillbilly brothers trying to capture Bugs, and they have at least one or two chases with him, which was okay. But the best part in this episode, Bugs tricks the two brothers into dancing with him. He dresses up as a hillbilly woman, and they start to square dance. And as the two brothers are dancing, Bugs gets his violin and starts singing. And whatever Bugs sings, the two brothers do exactly what Bugs says. And there was this part where he goes, "Hit him in the shin, hit him in the head, I'll pull your beard, you pull mine." I mean, the entire song is really, really funny. I just really, really love this episode. Well, particularly this part of the episode. It's almost like a game of Simon Says, but in this case, Bugs was actually singing it. Fun episode, good music, it was funny, it was all around great. And so that said, let's move on to the next one. And the next one is Baseball Bugs. And basically what happens, it's Bugs Bunny versus another team all by himself. And he absolutely slaps them. The gags, the jokes, it is all about fantastic. And if I had to say which one is my favourite joke in this episode, it's the part where Bugs is arguing with one of the gorillas that's dressed up as the Empire. And the Empire says, "You're out." And Bugs says, "What do you mean I'm out? I'm in, I'm safe." And they go backwards and forth saying, "In, out, in, out, in, out, in, out." And then Bugs changes it to, "Out, in, out, in, out, in, out, and out." And the Empire says, "You're safe. If you don't like it, you can go to the showers." And Bugs says, "Okay, Doc, whatever you say, I'm safe." And the Emperor says, "Wait, what?" All the jokes in this episode are fantastic, but the one I just mentioned is my absolute favourite. And the fact that he took down a cheating team is just 100% phenomenal. You can laugh at every joke that was in this episode. And so that said, let's move on to the next one. And this episode is called Bugs Bunny Rides Again. And just like Baseball Bugs, this too had a lot of funny jokes. Not saying that the other episodes in this list didn't have good jokes, but when it came to this episode, it had Yosemite Sam in his environment. And in most Looney Tunes cartoons, he's sometimes a knight, sometimes a confederate, sometimes a cook, sometimes, something else. But when it comes to this episode, he is in his environment. And this episode is perfect for Sam. But you know what, we're not here to talk about Sam, we're here to talk about Bugs Bunny. So basically, Yosemite Sam is trying to take over the town, and Bugs is kind of sort of trying to stop him. And again, all the jokes in this episode are just 100% gold. I like this town isn't big enough for the both of us, and then Bugs goes and builds the town bigger. Or when Sam makes Bugs dance, and then Bugs tricks Sam into dancing. Like I said, all the jokes in this episode are just gold, and I just absolutely love this episode. And so that said, let's move on to the next one. Okay, now, I know I have to mention this episode. I mean, I really must mention this episode. And that episode is What's Opera, Doc? Now, this episode really wasn't that funny, but it made me do something that I never did with a Looney Tunes cartoon before, and that was make me cry. Yeah, this Looney Tunes cartoon actually made me cry. And I believe that this episode also takes in the old opera stick, where they would use music from opera. And basically, Elmer Fudd is the god of thunder or weather or something. And he's after Bugs, and then Bugs dresses up as a beautiful woman, and then Elmer falls in love with the woman, and he falls for her more and more and more. And then, when Bugs' cover is blown, that is where everything gets really, really tense. And Elmer Fudd was not happy with Bugs at all whatsoever. And in a fit of madness and rage, well, if you haven't seen the episode, I highly recommend you go and check out what happens. This is one of the greatest Looney Tunes cartoons ever, and I highly recommend it. And so that said, let's move on to the next one. And the next one is Racketeer Rabbit. Now, this Bugs Bunny cartoon had me laughing. This is one of my favourite Bugs Bunny cartoons ever. Now, Bugs stole some money from a mobster character called Rocky, and Hugo is trying to get the money back from Bugs, and that's pretty much it. Every joke in this episode is flawless. I just love Rocky's character in this episode. Now listen, there are two other characters in the Looney Tunes, and they're called Rocky and Mugsy, and the Rocky in this episode I think was based off him, but they changed a few things around to make him more cartoony. But I'm just gonna have to be honest, I absolutely love this version of Rocky in this episode. I just love his mobster way of talking. Rocky's almost like the straight man in this episode, and even though he's the straight man, he too is also funny. I find him more preferable than the newer Rocky with his minion Mugsy, and the way that Bugs trolls and outsmarts Rocky, I mean, it's just hilarious. One of my favourite moments is when Rocky tries to make Bugs talk. Rocky goes to Bugs, talk, talk, no, and then Rocky pulls out a gun and Bugs go, That got me giggling. But my absolute favourite moment in this cartoon, even though all the jokes in this episode is good, my favourite part is when Bugs is pretending to be the police, and Rocky begs Bugs for help, and he hides Rocky inside of a trunk, and Bugs is playing two people, the copper and himself, and Rocky can't see anything, and he just assumes that Bugs is protecting him from the cops. It's just all around masterful. I just love it. I love how Bugs pretends to be the officer and drags the trunk downstairs, and then Bugs drags the trunk back up the stairs, and he pretends to fight with himself, and he gives Rocky a bomb. And you know what? It's just all about funny. I just love this episode so much. This is one of my favourite Bugs Bunny cartoons ever. Now, with that being said, you guys are probably thinking, oh, that this was the last episode. Since I'm at number 1, this is where the video is going to end, right? Well, no, not really, because I have this gimmick where I have the number 0, and 0 is where either my favourite game or series or movie or whatever, and number 0 is my favourite Bugs Bunny cartoon. And even if I was to make another top 20 Bugs Bunny cartoons list, the next episode will always be my favourite Bugs Bunny cartoon ever, and that will never change. And so, let's make way to the final episode. And my favourite Bugs Bunny cartoon of all time is Airtonic. This is my favourite Bugs Bunny cartoon of all time. I absolutely love this episode of Bugs Bunny. The jokes are fantastic, and this is possibly Bugs Bunny's best trolling on any character ever. Okay, basically, Elmer is taking Bugs Bunny back to his house to kill him and cook him, and even on the way home, Bugs Bunny outsmarts him and trolls him. And one of my favourite parts in this episode is when he has the chance to actually leave. In fact, nothing is stopping him. He tricks Elmer into getting the phone, and Bugs sneaks out the front door. And what makes this part funny is, even though he has a chance and there's absolutely nothing stopping him from running away, he actually decides to stay and heckle Elmer. He even tells this to the audience, that this setup is too good. So even though he has the chance of escaping and it would be long gone before Elmer could find him, Bugs actually wants to stay and mess with Elmer. I mean, it's usually Bugs trying to get away and wants to be left alone unless somebody's actually messing with him. But instead, he chooses to stay of his own free will. I mean, come on, I just love that. And then he goes back into the house, and Bugs pretends to be the radio, and Bugs pretends to be a news reporter saying, oh, there is a new virus called rabbititis. And this actually scares Elmer, and Bugs is just messing with him like, oh, coming near him, and oh, I can't leave because a notice on the door says, oh, no one can leave the premises, even though we know that Bugs was the one who put that notice on the door. And Bugs continues to mess with Elmer, saying that, oh yeah, oh Doc, I'm alright, I'm feeling fine. And Bugs just carries on messing around with Elmer. Bugs messing around with Elmer is just really, really funny to me. And then later on, Bugs dresses up as a doctor, and I love this character. Now, even though this is Bugs Bunny dressed up as a doctor, he plays the doctor as the straight man. You know, no nonsense. Well, in a way. And guess what Bugs Bunny actually named this doctor? His name is Dr. Kill Patient. Yeah, you heard me. Dr. Kill Patient. To me, this was just phenomenally funny. His name is Dr. Kill Patient. And even dressed up as the doctor, he messes with Elmer Fudd while pretending to be the straight man. He even convinces Elmer Fudd that he's turning into a rabbit. And that part was also funny too. And when Elmer Fudd found out that Dr. Kill Patient was actually Bugs Bunny, Elmer chases him out the door and Bugs Bunny stops Elmer and he says, wait, hold on. Look at the audience. They're turning into rabbits. All of them are turning into rabbits. Ah! And Elmer runs back into his house. And then Bugs Bunny says, that was just a joke, of course. You folks don't have rabbititis. I mean, if you did have rabbititis, you would see spots before your eyes. And he goes, yeah. And those spots would be swirling around. And then everything would go black. And the screen goes black. And Bugs Bunny does a little chuckle at the end. And Bugs actually trolls the audience. And that was funny to me. Really funny to me. I mean, not only did he troll Elmer Fudd, but he also trolled the audience. I mean, I just can't get over how funny that is. Bugs Bunny is an awesome troll. Everything in this episode was fantastic. I could watch this over and over and over again and not get bored. This is Bugs Bunny when he's at his best. The jokes are funny. The trolling's fantastic. This is indeed one of the best Bugs Bunny cartoons to me ever. Now listen, I know some people out there are going to say, oh, but what about this cartoon? Or what about this cartoon? This cartoon should have been on this list. But like I said, guys, this was all my opinion. Everyone's going to be different. Everyone's going to have different tastes. And only because my favourite cartoons of Bugs Bunny is on here doesn't mean your favourite cartoons of Bugs Bunny is any less than my favourite cartoons of Bugs Bunny. And like I said, I love all the Bugs Bunny cartoons. I mean, yeah, I haven't seen every single Bugs Bunny cartoon in existence. I think I might have missed like one or two, but that's it. But the ones that I watched growing up and the ones I still watch today, these are my favourite Bugs Bunny cartoons of all time. And don't worry, I will make another list with a different Looney Tunes cartoon character. It could be Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner, it could be Sylvester and Tweety, it could be Daffy, but you know what, who knows. So, at least that'll give you guys something to look forward to. And that's it for me. Was I right or was I wrong? Do you guys love Bugs Bunny? Do you like these cartoons I've put on here? Or do you have any personal favourite Bugs Bunny cartoons? Please let me know in the comment sections below and let's get the discussion going. I'm Freaky. Peace out. And please don't forget to check out my other social medias. Please go and check out my alternative video platforms, Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Twitch, and please come and hang out on my Discord server. We can play games, have a movie night or a series night, or you can watch me play a few games. And if you guys have any suggestions of any videos you want me to react to, or any video ideas in general, you can tell me on my Discord. I'm also on Twitter, Gab, Getter, and Paula. I'm on Locals, Tumblr, Minds, and TikTok. And if you guys want to support me, please go and check out my Subscribe Star. It's like Patreon, but better. All these things are in the description box below, so please go and check them out and subscribe to them. I'm Geek Freak. Peace out.